All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lion Bolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else and what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and feature titan today, all the way from beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, and I'm so excited, Bryn Kaufman. Bryn, thanks so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, Greg. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, likewise. And I was going to say,
sorry if we have some noise here, but we got some construction going on in my kitchen. So if I need to yell, just let me know.
No, this is great, Brent. And seriously, anybody out there is watching, especially the listeners on the podcast format, we've got construction going on with Brent. We got a thunderstorm here in Colorado Springs. So bear with us, everybody, but the show must go on. But Brent, I'm super excited just to dive into the series of questions, get to know you as a man, a professional, and share your story with the world. So if you're ready, let's just go ahead and start with the first question, which is telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm 54 years old. I moved out to Hawaii in it's around 2002.
Okay.
And I actually had I had a kind of a tech company, which we had some venture capital investment. And then we got bought by a public company. And then I was kind of a large shareholder in the public company. And after all that calmed down, I was like, okay, what do I do? Where do I want to live? And Hawaii seemed like a great place to settle down. And so here I am. And I started in real estate then in 2005 out here.
Okay. Wow. And really going into it from, the tech standpoint, translating over to real estate, Bryn, what was it? Because that's a different world, right? I mean, we're talking about tech versus real estate. However, there's a lot of technology involved in real estate, don't get me wrong, but what was your thought? Why real estate in the first place after that transition?
Well, what happened was I was actually had a consulting company doing websites and technology.
Love it.
And so that's how I moved here. I thought, well, I can do that anywhere, anywhere. I mean, it's all online. So I was dealing with clients across the country, different states. I would never meet them anyway.
Wow.
So what happened was I started doing realtor websites, but then I realized, I could make a lot more money if I did my own realtor website and, got clients and that kind of thing. And I actually, at first I said, well, can I do it for a realtor? And then we split the commissions. But then I learned that you can't do that. In order to get commissions, you have to be a licensed realtor. And so that's what actually got me into the business. I'm like, okay, I wanted to do a website for someone, get the commissions. The only way I could do it was to become a licensed realtor. And so I became a licensed realtor and we've, done well since we started up the website.
Wow. I love that, Bryn. And done well, I think is an understatement. I mean, you're doing very well. And what you do is really setting a high standard for real estate professionals or web developers for that matter to really generate traffic and exposure. And you have a phenomenal website, which I would love to dive into and kind of just dissect and pick your brain and share some information on for sure. But with that being said, what was it like when you got into the business to where you are to today? Where did you see that change and growth for you?
Well, when I got in, I tried some of the traditional things and it wasn't really working for me. Strangely, I don't consider myself a good realtor in the sense that I'm not good at a lot of the things realtors are good at.
Wow.
Like open houses and meeting clients and stuff like that. And, but when I put up my website, which was, from a technology standpoint, it opened up things. And actually what happened was a big break for us was the local paper, the Honolulu Advertiser, did an article on my website because I exposed a lot of information that up until that time was hidden by other websites and other realtors.
Wow.
And it was okay to expose, although it did get a lot of heat, but in the it turned out it was okay. But that kind of exposure in the paper, really picked up my website and helped things grow. But yeah, I actually, at the time, I got a lot of heat. I was working for Caldwell Banker, and I had to go see the broker, and the board of realtors had so much commotion. They had to issue a letter to every realtor about it, that they're looking into it and all this
Wow.
stuff. But it worked out well.
Okay. I mean, obviously being a trailblazer and really setting that standard, I think what's the adage? I mean, sometimes when the first one through the wall gets bloodied a little bit. And, I think that's a perfect example of really just not looking at it from a traditional standpoint. You and I spoke about this before we just went live, but there's so many different ways to run your business in real estate. There's so many different perspectives, and there's not one right or wrong way. And it's not a one size fits all. And you're a perfect example of that, Bryn, when you talk about doing it a different way and then setting
Right.
that bar. I love that. So would you mind mentioning the website at all? I mean, so people can check it out and that sort of thing, or is that something that we want to kind of keep off the
No,
ban
I'd
here?
love to mention it. It's
Okay.
Wahoo, re.com.
Okay.
And I wanted to have a Wahoo, I'm on the island of Oahu.
Okay.
So, and I wanted a Wahoo real estate, but that domain was taken. So I said, okay, well, RE, short for realestate.com. And that's been the domain ever since. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. And I definitely want to talk a little bit deeper on that in a little bit, but I want to shift gears on this. And I just want to dive deeper into you as a man and a professional. And the second question is the why question, Bryn. So what drives you? What motivates you? Gets you excited every day to do what you do to the level you do it at? What are your whys? What are your drivers?
Well, I like doing continuous improvements. I found that I like technology, and I do all the programming myself on the website. So I
Wow.
do PHP, MySQL, HTML, CSS, all this stuff, JavaScript. I
Beautiful.
do it all myself,
Hmm.
and I love doing it. It's like it's almost therapeutic for me. I enjoy it when I sit down and I'm programming. I'm enjoying myself. That's what I like to do.
Love it.
And so I like to continuously improve the website, and it's interesting. I mean, I'm still, it started in 2005, and even this morning I'm thinking about I'm working on my newest improvement. I just put some new things live yesterday. So
Wow.
it's a never ending process of continuous improvement, and that's kind of what I really like about what I'm doing.
Well, and I love that example though, Bryn, because we should all be growing and evolving as people, personally and professionally. And the fact that you get inspired to just constantly improve and adjust and make things better and more effective, it obviously speaks volumes about your character and why you've able to do what you've done. And I wasn't going to necessarily mention this, but I think that it's pertinent just for anybody out there. Any of the people who really don't understand how effective proper digital can be and really exposing yourself to the right markets. I mean, over 100 million in production in 2019.
Right.
That's incredible. It's just wonderful. And again, it's not about the numbers at the end of the day. It's about how many people we can help and affect an industry to a higher standard. But there's certain people that keep that as a scoreboard. And if that's the case, anybody who's watching and listening, that's pretty high on the scoreboard as far as I'm concerned. So I think that's wonderful, the representation of that and the evolution of your why and what makes you do what you do, when it comes to that, Bryn. So I do want to dive a little bit deeper onto one of the favorite questions into the Titan series, getting to know how the Titans grow their business and scale. So the third question ends up being, if you could look back at your career thus far and pick or choose a few things that you added to your business or adjusted that took it from one level to the next, what's that look like for you? And I know that you were talking about the site and engagement. So whatever advice you give to a seasoned pro or somebody who's newer in the business that might be watching or listening, what could you share that way?
Well, a big step for me, actually, and I'm sure other people have had this big step, was hiring my first assistant.
Love it.
And now we have a team of 5 people who we call our client care team, and they're actually they're all based in the Philippines.
Wow. Okay.
We don't have anyone, any assistant locally here.
Unreal.
But
Okay.
that was a huge step for me because that took me, I actually got caught up in too much of the day-to-day stuff, and it was hard to, develop the website and do things because I was so busy taking care of everything, until we got the assistant going. And now with 5 assistants, and we also have, on my team, I have 4 realtors. And so between the assistants and the realtors, I'm able to do, to focus on the programming.
Hmm.
And quite honestly, I don't work as hard as I used to.
Wow.
I enjoy wing foiling, which is a new ocean sport that came out last year.
Very
And
cool.
I'll spend several hours a day, every day that there's wind, which is almost every day, doing that. So
So,
I'm
Bryn, not to cut you off, but I've never heard of that. Would you mind
okay.
explaining that activity a little bit, what it's
Yeah,
like, and
so wing foiling is, it's with a hydrofoil.
hmm,
So it's a surfboard with a hydrofoil underneath, and
wow,
you hold a handheld wing,
hmm,
and you ride it. I ride it here on the ocean in Hawaii, and you can ride swells and things you couldn't surf previously, but the hydrofoil allows you to surf these things and have a great time. And
wow.
I'm just having a blast, and it keeps me in shape.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so I do a lot of that. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit that I don't work that hard as much as I used to. So
I don't think that's an embarrassing statement to make. I think that everybody's looking for that ultimate balance, and
right,
having a level of production and being successful financially, and then obviously in the community and the industry, but focusing on the family and focusing on activities, and really going through. In a way, people throw it around a lot, but it's working smarter, not harder. And I don't think that you're taking any hard work away. Obviously, you've worked very hard for a long time to get to where you're at. And you've developed systems and processes along the way to allow you to do it. You've earned that right. Does that make
right.
sense?
Yeah,
And
no, that makes sense. And family time's very important to me. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old,
love it.
and anytime we can do anything with them and set aside some time to do things, I mean, that's always priority one also. So
Love it.
but yeah, that's exactly it. We've set it up. We have very specific. We run a lot of listings. We're a small team, but
Mhm.
I run usually, like right now we have 63 active listings and in escrow listings that we're handling.
Love it.
And so in order to do that volume, everything's very, like, we use technology with a template.
Mhm.
Every step is checked off so we don't miss anything, because it's a lot of stuff we're processing. So we have to make sure it's all, done correctly. So we
Mhm.
do have systems in place that allow me to do what I want to do.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned to you also, which is kind of unique. I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but
No.
I don't actually do any showings, and I don't actually meet any clients face to face, that kind
Wow.
of thing. So
Mhm.
if a seller's looking to sell, I will turn them over to one of my agents. And
Mhm.
if they want to use, we also offer a flat fee option. If they want to use that, we handle it mostly by email. We never actually meet them
Wow.
face to face.
Hmm.
And so that allows me the flexibility to go out to the beach and to the ocean and do my thing on a daily basis too.
Gosh, I love that, Bryn. And again, everybody heard that right. I mean, there's so many ways to get it done, and the traditionalism is to be face to face and right up there. And there's one fellow Titan, and if you're watching and tuning in, you know who you are. The two of you are very similar in thought process, Bryn, and there's such a rarity between your minds, from everybody else. And we're not downplaying anybody else, but what I love about your thought process is you know what you love and where your passions are and where your highest and best use of time is. And you make everything else work around that, and you have the greatest of success. So there's so many people that feel like they have to do certain things to get to where they want to go. And just know that figure out who you are and what you love and where your passion is, work hard, all the moving parts and pieces will come together with that effort. And so you just don't have to be everything to everyone. You don't have to do everything the way everybody else does it. And you are a perfect example of that. But why I mentioned the other gentleman is I've only met one other person like you in my life. So it's really cool to have another conversation. So there's a couple of you in the world at least. So it's really cool.
But yeah, I think your point is really important. I mean, I found, I got into real estate and I tried different things. I tried, like I said, doing open houses. I tried, but I realized my thing is, is the technology thing. And so I built the business in a way that, okay, I found what I like to do and what I'm good at, and that's what I work on. And then I have other people to help me where I do the things that I'm not good at, or that, I'm not looking to do.
Perfect. And it's a beautiful example. And again, incredible advice for people to take. Please pause, rewind this, listen. I'll have all of Bryn's social media links, websites, all that stuff. You can connect with this man, understand a little bit. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I know we could have an entire episode just on this one question, but I do want to keep moving forward. And this next question, Bryn, is the tricky part of the interviewing series. It is the challenge question. So I lead into it with every Titan this way. We all have challenges and struggles, whether they're personal or professional, and no one's exempt, right? We're all equal that way, whether it's in the past, we're dealing with it now, or we haven't yet, but we will. I'm a firm believer it's not so much what happens, but what we learn and what we can share and really grow from. So, Bryn, if you have a challenge personally or professionally that you overcame, came stronger because of it, and you're okay to share that with everybody, what's that look like for you?
Well, I've had a couple challenges. One thing I mentioned, I had a tech company before, and we got acquired by a public company. But unfortunately, we were actually looking to go public, and that didn't happen because the market was changing. Okay. So we got acquired. But to make a long story short, I got kind of caught in the .com bubble bursting back then. And wow. So lost a lot of money. And then also I didn't know much about investing or anything because I was so busy just working. Right. And I gave the money I did get, I gave to an expert. And I guess it was just a bad timing. And so I lost even more money there. Yeah. And so, I made it through okay, but it definitely left an impact with me. And then the other thing is, I have some health issues that, so for me, this lifestyle of, working from home and being able to do my own thing, work good with my life, and with health issues I have is a challenge. So, wow. Yeah, those are a couple of the challenges I've kind of gone through.
And Bryn, I appreciate you sharing that because it's not easy to do. I mean, you're talking about obviously first and foremost the financial pains that can come with, the markets and things that happen that are no fault of our own. And I know there's so many people that have felt that pain and they've gone through it in so many different cycles of their lives multiple times. And it's never easy, but true success can happen again and again. Money comes and goes, and that doesn't, hinder or kind of stunt the pain because it is painful. But ultimately, if you just think positive and keep moving forward, there's ways to go and grow from it. And then obviously with your health, gosh, I don't know anybody who doesn't deal with some kind of health issue in their life. And we all have health issues, and some are more severe or noticeable than others. But just know that there's ways to work it out. There's ways to live a healthy and happy life, no matter what your circumstances are. And I guess at the end of the day, no matter how bad your life is or what you're feeling, just know that there's people that have it worse. But the true pros, the true people that just have it, they don't let it stop them. They don't let it kind of hinder. And obviously, Bryn, you're one of those beautiful examples out there for people to really look and set to. And I absolutely love that. When we're going into a different thing, and I wanted to make sure that we mention this. So you had mentioned before we went live talking about benefits and things along those lines, and you kind of segued into that a little bit with investments. So would you mind, kind of bringing that up for the audience? Because I think that that's very pertinent as we kind of discussed a little bit before.
Yeah, well, one of the big, we had a lot of volume, and I was making a lot of commission and paying a lot of taxes,
Sure.
which a lot of successful agents do. And then I heard about this opportunity, or whatever you want to call it, called a defined benefits program.
Okay.
And it's actually with Charles Schwab. So it's a very legitimate program. Schwab runs it, and other people run it too, but I chose to go with Schwab for mine.
Okay.
And basically, in a nutshell, if it's right, it can be very good for mom and pop businesses, which is kind of what I have. It's a very small business. We actually don't have any employees other than myself and my wife. So,
Wow.
but the advantage is you can usually put away, sometimes as much as 10 times more than, let's say, your 401k.
Wow.
And you can still use your 401k. So you can still put money in your 401k, but then you can put up to maybe 10 times more into this defined benefits program.
Wow.
And then like a 401k, it's available at retirement. And like a 401k, it reduces your income. So it was a big thing in my life because I'm 54. I don't know when I'll retire. Let's say maybe 10, 11 years, something like that. I'll probably keep going till as long as I can keep programming.
I hope so.
Yeah. But the nice thing is, now instead of putting all that money into taxes, I'm putting that money into a retirement account for myself. So it's something that all agents, because we're all independent contractors, is something to look into. It gets better as you get older, closer to retirement, but it's something to put on your even if you're young, it's something to put on your calendar and revisit, as you get older, that kind of thing.
I can't thank you enough for mentioning that. And nothing like that has been mentioned on the Titan series so far, which I think is absolutely fantastic. We're at episode 186. And again, that's just beautiful information from amazing professionals and different perspective in real life. And this is real advice that's applicable to anybody who's watching or listening, especially in the real estate world. So, Bryn, I can't thank you enough for sharing the stories with your struggle, but then also, talking about, really looking into your future in retirement, because there's so many real estate professionals who they just don't have it planned out. And it's maybe not even an option. I don't know, but anybody who's watching and listening, I know they appreciate that, and you can take a look at that. And you use Charles Schwab, but like you said, I'm sure there's lots of different opportunities for different, ventures and things like that. So do some research, check that out, everybody. Again, I'll have links in the comments down below to help out with anything I can. So we made it through the tough stuff, Bryn. I want to go to the next question. This is actually much softer, and it's actually my favorite question out of all of them. It's the travel back in time question. Now, we don't have a time machine, and we can't go back in time. However, if you could go back in time, any time frame, any age range of your life, and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, what would you say to your younger self? And I'll preface it this way. It's not necessarily to change anything, because what you went through personally, professionally, good or bad, made you who you are to today. So it's not necessarily to change it, but if you could give yourself a piece of advice, what would you say?
Well, from the purely real estate perspective, I should have definitely started my client care team sooner.
Okay.
I worked too hard, and I lost some important things in my life. Important moments that I felt like I was still too busy to really enjoy, and things like that, because I didn't have that client care team in place. So that if I looking back, I would say, start it as soon as you can, because otherwise this business can take over your life. And it as much fun as it can be, it can still, you still need the balance, like you mentioned. And then the other thing, I guess, is, just, find out, just kind of go with the flow. Cause in college, I had a major in marketing and management. And, but yet I ended up being kind of a computer developer type guy. And it just something I got into as the technology came on and stuff, and I found I liked it. And so I went with it, even though I didn't have, the formal training.
Wow.
So it's kind of like, tell yourself to go with the flow. And, you're not going to get everything you want in life. That's the way it is.
Sure.
But like you said, if you, keep moving forward, keep improving, focus on helping others, how you can help others, you're going to get still a very rewarding life.
Wow. I absolutely love your answers that you're saying there. And again, it's not designed for ourselves because we can't go back as far as in the past, but it's designed for everybody who's watching or listening right now, because the advice that you had mentioned, we can apply to our lives today and going forward. And I just think that it's wonderful perspective. And, some people use the adage, from a automotive standpoint, that the, windshield is much larger than the rear view mirror, because you should be
Right.
looking forward more than you're looking back. And but there's something to be learned through history and what we've gone through. But again, learning from other people, positive or negative, is what this is all about. And I just think it's great advice, Bryn. I love it. I think it's fantastic. So this is really great stuff. And we have 2 questions left, but gosh, I just wish this was still going further. I could talk to you all day long. So when we're going into the second to last question inside here, this is the feeding of the mind portion. So this is where everybody likes to tune in and try to understand from their perspective how the Titans are feeding their minds. So books you're reading or have read that you enjoyed, that inspire you, podcasts that you may listen to, influencers or coaches, if there's conventions or masterminds that you attend or go to. I mean, Bryn, at the end of the day, how are you feeding your mind?
Well, one of the books that made a big, that was very influential for me was Think and Grow Rich.
Love it.
Which was it's interesting because I read that book, and then you read some modern day books, but when you get down to it, they all have kind of that Think and Grow Rich type. That might have been the first time. I mean, that is a very old book, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
but it might have been the first time that type of thinking was released to the world type thing. So I read that a number of times. And I've read some other books by Gary Keller, Keller Williams.
Yeah.
I read some of his real estate books, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But actually, I'm at this stage, I'm not, I don't go to conferences and things like that, but, and I'm not regularly feeding my mind as much as I used to, I guess, is what
Interesting.
I'm saying. And
Okay.
I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but, I'm still very focused on the website, what people are doing in the industry, what the technology is, those types of things. So I do read like Inman News,
Love it.
to keep up with things. And, but yeah, I'm not reading any particular books right at this minute.
Okay. No, and I love that, Bryn, because again, you're talking about a few things that had stuck out to you in the past that you've experienced and read, but again, you're focused on the business and the site, and then, in the industry knowledge, and that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. So, I mean, we're not all Warren Buffett. We can't read 8 hours every day. We're not all billionaires, but, at the end of the day, I think that consuming information in and out of our business is healthy. And again, it doesn't have to be information. It could be something that sets our heart or our soul on fire. It can be music. It can, again, what you do in the ocean, right? That's something that's feeding your body. And so again, it goes back to that balance. And I think that that's great. But takeaways from everybody is just, there's, again, not one right way to do it. You don't have to be consuming stuff all day long, and you don't have to be the complete opposite either. But I think that, that's just some good examples. I will have links in the comments down below so everybody can feed their mind the same way that Bryn's doing, or at least attempt to, pick up those books, that sort of thing. So, Bryn, I can't thank you enough. This has been absolutely amazing. The information is super compelling, and I know that the takeaways are there for everybody to watch, rewind, pause, and listen to or watch again. I want to finish everything up with a final question. And this ends up being a quote or mantra that sums you up as a man, as a professional. What's that look like for Bryn Kaufman?
I think my mantra is continuously improving. And, because every day I'm waking up, or actually even before I get out of bed, I'm thinking about, okay, what am I going to improve today? Whether it's the website or a procedure or whatever it is, I feel good when I'm improving things.
Wow.
And a lot of times before I get out of bed in the morning, I start programming in my mind, start seeing what's that improvement's going to look like,
Hmm.
and then spend time visualizing it. And then once I get out of bed, then, okay, now I'm ready to do it. But it helps to just sit there quiet, lay calmly, and, visualize the whole thing. Because I found then you can, you're on a much better path to getting it done. But yeah, my mantra would be continuously improving things.
I I think it's perfect, and I think it sums you up fantastically when you're looking at it from that standpoint. And we should all live, a part of that quote or that mantra is just every day. Every day
Right.
get a little better, and in every way. Personally, professionally, mentally, spiritually, health. I mean, the whole nine. Let's just those
Right.
little steps, and all those actions add up to the big results over time. So, Bryn, I can't thank you enough. Again, it was an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on the show and having this conversation with you and sharing it with the world. So thanks again so much.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, it was great.
No, this is great. And I do want to say you are an official real estate titan, my friend. So I have to finish that with dubbing you a real estate titan. That is a thing after every episode. But everybody, thank you so much as well for your time and attention. As always, your love and support. If you like here what we're doing with Real Estate Titans, please don't forget to like, subscribe. You know what to do at this point. I do need to give our sponsor a quick shout out, Linebolt Media. So if you are looking to grow and scale your business digitally on the real estate end, if you're really trying to look at it from massive amounts of continuous market exposure and high quality lead generation into that for converting transactions, please visit lionboltmedia.com for more information. We are live here at Real Estate Titans every Tuesday and every Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. Catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks,
Thanks,
Bryn.
Greg.